everybody, welcome to another video. Got an unboxing of a WS400 Series 2. So Series 2 WS400 Iwata. We just see what we get in the box. We get a little booklet, what that does, explaining cleaning tips, etc. We get a little card, which I thought was quite interesting because it says the most sophisticated Japanese craftsmanship tradition combined with the continuous search for leading edge technology. So we're in good hands. What else you get? A little bit of sponge on the top. Then you get just a little crepe cardboard thing with the gun in it. You just get a booklet which explains the various functions of the gun in many different languages. You also get a pot. Now this pot is the same as the original WS400. It's the same as the Kiwami 4, the W300s, Kiwami 3, Wider 3, all that range, AZ4, AZ3, it will fit all of those. Quite a good quality pot really if you use your pots like I do a lot of the time. You also get in it a spanner, which is missing from a lot of stuff these days, but presumably because it's so damned expensive, they give you a spanner still, which is nice of them, isn't it? So what we got: WS400 Mark II, WS400 Mark 1. Now I'll leave you to decide which one looks better, Mark 1 or Mark 2. I personally, at the moment, bear in mind I've only recently seen this one, I prefer the older one. I just think the lines just look better. But that could change as time goes along, but at the end of the day it's form over function really anyway. What it's done, this is a Kiwami 4 WB. Well, it's lent some of the design off of that, as you can see. This part here is more or less the same on all three of them, but it's definitely this part here, sorry, this part here, this back part has lent some of its design from the Kiwami series. Anyway, let's see what's different about them. Well, I've had this out of the box before, so I won't pretend that this is the first time I've looked at it. I know what's different and what isn't, and that's the reason for taking it out of the box first, so that I can tell you. First off is the caps. Now the caps, to all intents and purposes, are exactly the same. This is probably going to want to focus on my face because that's what it always does. But if you can see as best you can, the holes are the same size. The air horns are also the same length. Everything on these caps are the same. One's numbered WS400-01, which is the original one, and one's numbered WS400-03, which is the newer version. But to all intents and purposes, they look exactly the same, but they're not, because the thread is slightly different. So you can put, I can't remember which one this is. Is that the proper one? That's the original one. Yeah. So you can put the newer version. Sorry, you can't put the newer version. Sorry, you can put the newer version on the old gun, but it doesn't secure. Doesn't secure properly at all, and you can't put the old version on the new gun because the thread is slightly different. It just won't pick up, it won't catch. I'm not going to force it, but it won't catch. So the thread is different. So to all intents and purposes, the actual inside of this cap, the air horns, etc., are the same. It's the outside bezel that's different. So they've done that to stop you interchanging them, no doubt, to make you spend more money. I'm sure. What else we got? The needles, the fan control and the fluid control is slightly different. This one is the old one. You can see they've rounded them off in, you know, and just generally made that sort of more of a matte colour. It's just going to be changes for change's sake, really. Although some people have trouble with the chrome on these. So let's get the needles out. Now I know the needles are different, which is the whole reason for going through this with you guys. New needle, old needle. You can see that the new needle is slightly shorter, about 3mm shorter. For you guys in the US, I'm sorry, you're going to have to convert that into imperial. It was about 1/8 of an inch, isn't it? I think, something like that. Is that right? Something like that. About 3mm anyway, maybe slightly more. So it's slightly shorter, so you can't interchange those either, although the actual taper on the end is exactly the same. So to all intents and purposes, the needles are the same, but different, if that makes sense. As far as the operational part of it, it's exactly the same. So that's those two. We've also got the tip. Now the tips look exactly the same. Exactly the same as each other. They've got 4 cutouts, so tulip nozzle or split nozzle they call it. They've got 4 cutouts. To all intents and purposes, they are exactly the same. You can see the same number of holes, everything's the same. One of these is 1.4, one's 1.3, so they're not exactly the same as far as that goes. But if these were both 1.3, they would look exactly the same. They're the same height, everything is exactly the same, except the threads. They've changed the threads slightly. So it means that you can't interchange them, which is, again, a really annoying thing, because I like mucking about with these, and most of the Iwatas, the tips are interchangeable. And they've obviously taken that away so that you can't do that. So that if you want 2 guns, you're going to have to buy two guns or 2 of the correct tips. Anyway, so that's the only differences. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the camera on my head, and we're going to do a spray out, because one of the things that was a problem is the wrong word. One of the things that was a quirk to the old WS400 was that if you were using a clear coat, especially the thinner clear coats, you were using it on full fan, full fluid, which is what a lot of people would do if they want to get on with the job, it would start to separate top and bottom. And apparently that's been cured with this. So we're going to go on to a pattern test, and we're going to see. We're going to use exactly the same clear coat for both of them, settings exactly the same, everything the same, bar the gum. And the tip size, but that will only make a difference to the size of the pattern rather than the top bottom heaviness of the pattern with the dryness in between. All right guys, we're going to have a look now. Cheers guys. Okay guys, so we're with the original WS400 series 1, as we now call it. I'm going to put the fluid on full, so it's getting full fluid. And I'm also going to put the fan on full, which is turn it all the way in and just bring it all the way out. So all the way out till it stops. So we've got full fan, full fluid. The air supply to the gun is on full, and we're just going to regulate from the gauge. We'll regulate it to 2 bar, which is about 29 psi, which is about what I use it at normally, and it's recommended settings anyway. And we'll just see what the fan pattern does. Now, if you look at that, you will see, and you will slowly start to see as it sinks into the paper, that the top and bottom has more material than the centre. Now, this is a relatively thin clear coat, sorry, a thick clear coat. The thinner the clear coat, the more this separation takes place. So if you put thinners in there or base coat, you get a lot of top and bottom. Anyway, so that's the pattern. You will see slowly, I think you can see there, that it's thicker there and it's thicker there than it is in the middle. There's just less material in the middle, which is one of the things that people say is a problem with this gun, but it's not a problem, because if you back it off slightly, I normally go about 2 turns out, maybe slightly more, you'll see that it's absolutely fine. Decreases the pattern slightly, but it makes it just as wet in the middle. He says, yeah, just as wet in the middle, and you can see there that it's wet all the way along, whereas here you can see now that it's starting to get wetter there, or more material there, and less in the middle. And it's the same there as well. You can just see it's slightly different. It's not a huge difference, but as I say, the thinner the clear coat gets, the more of a problem it becomes. So we'll put the other gun on and see what that's like. Guys, so WS400 Series 2. We're going to do exactly the same. We're putting the fan at full. We're putting the fluid on full. This is actually a 1.4 HD, not a 1.3. That's a 1.3. This is 1.4. So you might see the fan would be slightly bigger, but it'll be minimal. It just delivers a bit more fluid. That's all. I got this in a faster, effectively it'll be a bit faster because it just delivers a bit more. Because the WS, well, all these split nozzle tips are a bit slow, really. Okay. So set it at 2 bar, which is 29 psi. Everything's on full, and let's see what we got. Distance is more or less the same. I'm not physically measuring it, but I do this quite a bit, so I do get, you know, a good judge of what's what. So there's our 2 fans. Now, to me, that doesn't look much different, to be fair. It still looks drier in the centre than it does at the top and the bottom, just as much as these do. So would we say that's been fixed? I don't know whether we say it's been fixed. Would we say there's something wrong with it? I don't know, to be honest, because I normally just back them off. So let's just try the same thing. 1, 2, 2 and a bit, and see what we got. Now we've backed the fan in. It's kept its size, so it's the same size. Whereas that, you see, it has lost some of its size, and it has evened it up a bit. I would say it's difficult to tell really, but it's definitely wetter here. I mean, if you can see in the light, I mean, I'm not sure whether the camera can see what my eyes are seeing. It's definitely wetter there, drier there, which is exactly the same as these. Now that is wetter as well. So I would say you still need to use these the same as the old one. It's a clear coat gun, clear coat that's in it. It's you know, a medium as far as the thickness of the clear coat goes. It's a medium really. It's not particularly thick. It's a high solids, but it's not particularly thick. Hasn't been thinned down. You might add a bit of thinners, but yeah, to me it doesn't seem much different to the old one, to be fair. Okay then guys, thanks very much. Cheers.